Alright guys, what is up? This is TCG Sam here, and welcome to a very special episode I have planned out for you guys today. In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 builds of Shaddolls, and kind of deciding which one is the best one to really go with. So in the video, I'm going to be covering Pure Shaddolls, Invoked Shaddolls, and DOGMATIKA Shaddolls in that order. So starting off, I'm going to be covering a duel I played with Pure Shaddolls with Dragoon. Because Dragoon is very powerful card, undeniably, undoubtedly. So like it's just insane how good that card is. But yeah, anyways, I'm not really gonna be commentating as much over the duel in the background. I'm more gonna be explaining my thoughts and my experience with the decks and the builds that I've been going over. So with the Pure Shaddoll build, the strengths of the deck, it's very good at grinding because of all the Shaddolls, spells and traps, plus the effects of cards like Mathematician to just act as a starter and late game grind game thing by sending like Squamata, which can send like a core or something. Like you can send a core add back one of your spells or traps. It's just really good then. Another thing is they have a 1 card OTK and Shaddoll fusion. Of course that applies to all the builds of Shaddoll in this video, but like it's just something to note in Pure Shaddolls. Another thing is they also are quite adept at going first or second. Although with cards like Super Polymerization, of course you can play cards like that in this deck that synergize really well with it. But yeah. And I think the most important factor in choosing Pure Shaddolls over the other builds is that it's a lot more affordable than builds like Dogmatika or Invoked, because the Invoked and Dogmatika cards are quite expensive. And while, in my opinion, this is probably the deck with the lowest ceiling out of all 3 of the decks I'm going to be covering today, I think it's still pretty good and definitely really worth it for its price. So like if you're on a budget, like Pure Shaddolls, definitely the way to go. It still can definitely compete with the top meta decks. So now I'm gonna be talking about some of its weaknesses. Some definitely a major flaw of the Pure Shaddoll deck that I noticed is it pretty much only has 6 quote-unquote starter cards in Shaddoll Fusion and L Shaddoll Fusions. If you don't draw those, your turn is pretty much like over. Like you can't really do anything on your turn. So like you could set like your Hedgehog, you can Mathematician send Wendy, set like a Beast or something, but like 9 times out of 10, like in this meta, you should not be surviving long enough for that to actually matter. Which is just super unfortunate because like Pure Shaddolls, man, it's really affordable, and like it's such a fun deck to play too. It's just so unfortunate that you have to rely on cards like Shaddoll Fusion and L Shaddoll Fusion. There isn't really much you can do about it. In my Pure Shaddoll, pure budget Shaddoll deck, without Dragoon or anything, I play a card called Shaddoll Fusion. It acts as like your 7th or your 8th fusion play, which can be really good in Pure Shaddoll. So obviously there are ways around this flaw, but like that's just a major flaw I noticed about it. It's just the fact that you have to draw those fusion spells to actually be able to play, because you don't have supporting engines like Invoked or Dogmatika, just kind of make it a little bit of a not as appealing to play, in my opinion, at the very least. But yeah, other than that, really good grind game, can definitely compete with combo decks, can OTK, set up winda, which is of course very impressive. But that's also one last flaw with the deck is if it only sets up winda and it gets broken, there's not really much else that the Pure Shaddoll deck can really do in terms of disruption other than like winda and Apclone. Well, compared to something like Dogmatika or Invoked, you can set up like the Fleur-de-Lis and Punishment and Mechaba Caliga respectively. So yeah, I'm just saying this has the lowest ceiling of all of them. Arguably less consistent too, but it's definitely the cheapest out of them, and it's definitely a great budget option if you cannot afford the other ones. But yeah, anyways, now I'm going to be moving on to my Invoked Shaddoll discussion. guys, welcome to the next build of Shaddolls that I'm gonna be going over in this video, and that's gonna be Invoked Shaddolls. So Invoked Shaddolls was essentially the meta before like all the new cards like Eldritch and Adamantimators came out. And the reason it was good is because like the Invoked didn't just synergize so well with the Shaddoll stuff. Like you get free fusion spells off of the Alistair, and like the Alistair just gave you free link materials and like free invoked fusions, like free 1-card fusions. So like you can end on an extra Caliga as a negation, or even a Mechaba, and like OTK was Purgatrio right after. So that's what made the invoked engine so good. The fact that you put it with Shaddolls, like it gives Shaddolls a lot more consistency. Excuse me, because now you're able to just be able to essentially search a polymerization to use with the Shaddolls in your hand. Although it's not ideal, because you're kind of throwing away your Alistair recursion play. Could be a lot worse actually. You could just bricked and had no play at all. And the fact that cards like Magical Meltdown existed to protect your fusion plays just made it really good. So yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not going to really be commentating over what's going on in the game. Might pause here or there to note some significant interactions, but other than that, well, once again, I'm just going to mostly be discussing why the deck is good, some of its weaknesses, etc. So like, another good thing about the deck is like it has a more longevity and a better, quite a good grind game, just solely because of Alistair. Because the thing with Alistair is like you just get a free fusion play every turn, and you get it back too. So like it's just really incredible, honestly. You get a free fusion. That fusion is either a negate in Mechaba, disruption in like Caliga, or even an OTK in like Purgatrio, which is just crazy. It can also be like a Shaddoll fusion, fusing into your like constructs or your windows or whatever. And once again, like I said, it adds more consistency to the deck. Another thing with Alistair, it's important to note, it protects a card like El Shaddoll Winda, which is one of your main win conditions with the deck. You just make it 3200, like no deck's beating over that, not even Pankratops could get over that. So like if they summon Pank, attack, damage step you Alistair, and their Pank dies, and your Winda survives, they can't even pop because can't be destroyed by card effects. So it protects cards like Winda, protects cards like Caliga, which is really good. Because Caliga can stop a lot of decks as well. Like, and then in the next turn you can just link it away, and then at the very end of the turn you can bring it back with like something like Cross Sheep, which is just a super powerful interaction in this deck. Cross Sheep just works super well with Caliga. But yeah, anyways, that pretty much does it for the deck's strong points. It's like higher consistency, higher ceiling, better grind game in my opinion than like pure Shaddolls. So yeah, honestly, very good deck. There's a reason why it was meta. Alright, so for the weaknesses of the deck, what I noticed is there are gonna be some clunky hands where you open like still open like just Shaddolls and stuff. So it's not necessarily great. And there's also gonna be times where you have an Alistair searching your invocation as your only fusion play, and you have like less than optimal Shaddoll monsters. Like maybe you have like an Ariel or a Dragon in your hand that like doesn't really get you anywhere by fusing it away turn 1. So usually when that happens, then it's a little difficult to decide, do I want to make a window or something, or do I just want to Mechaba pass? So that's another thing I noticed with the deck. It's not really, there's not really much you can do. But oh, just another note, the Invoked engine does kind of help you play through cards like Dweller, which normally would completely shut off a Shaddoll player's turn. So that's another good thing about the deck. But yeah, anyways, continuing. There really isn't much more weaknesses to the deck that I can really think of. It's honestly just really good. It gives like lots of power in the Invoked stuff, lots of consistency there, and just the regular power and grind game of Shaddolls combined with the grind game of Invoked gives you a really grindy deck that can still put up very formidable boards. So you can end on something like Winda, Caliga, which is just pretty much unbeatable if they don't have like mass removal and Dark Ruler no more or whatever. So yeah, it's just important to note that. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I have much more to say about the deck. honestly, like, just remember, you guys can try these out all for yourself to see how you guys like it. But like personally, Invoked Shaddolls is probably the build that I would like to use. If I was going to tournament, I've played it in tournaments before. It's pretty much the only build of Shaddolls I've ever played in a tournament, and it's done really well for me. So that's all I have to say about it. In the future, now that Dragoon is out, the deck also can make Dragoon quite easily, so that's not really a problem. The Alistair just gives you a good normal summon. Like, it's arguably more impactful than Mathematician, but like, of course, that's still a debate that needs to be considered when choosing the deck. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much just gonna conclude my thoughts on the Invoked Shaddolls deck, and yeah, hopefully you guys were able to take away something from it. And yeah, now I'm gonna be moving on to the next build of Shaddolls, DOGMATIKA Shaddolls. Alright guys, so getting into the final Shaddoll build I'm going to be covering today, it's going to be DOGMATIKA Shaddolls, and it's just the regular pure Shaddoll deck, but I put in some DOGMATIKA cards over like some hand traps and stuff like that, and you guys are about to see what benefit it actually adds to the deck. So to begin with, DOGMATIKA Shaddolls like kind of plays just like pure Shaddolls in that it's pretty much the same main deck, except over like the hand traps and other consistency cards like Allure or whatever, you can play cards like Nadir's Servant and the DOGMATIKA cards, of course. So with the DOGMATIKA cards, it gives the Shaddoll deck the same benefits as the pure Shaddoll deck, in that like, one, it can grind with your opponent, and like two, can still OTK and all that stuff. But in addition to all that, as slightly more consistency, in that Nadir's Servant is essentially a Shaddoll engage of sorts, where you can send El Shaddoll app clone, add your Ecclesia, and then app clone effect triggers to get like Schism or something, and you could discard like a Shaddoll, get that Shaddoll effect, and pretty much you just have like a one card combo where you can set that Schism, normal summon the Ecclesia, search a punishment, and then afterwards schism out whatever, either an app clone or winda, which is just really powerful because you have it backed up with punishment. So yeah, the Nadir's Servant just adds so much consistency to this deck. The Ecclesia is also a really nice extender. So like, if you have a monster in the extra monster zone, you can special summon it. You don't have to use her effect, so you can like turn her and the fusion monster into an Anaconda to make a Dragoon, or you can make a cross sheep, whatever. Either way, even if you don't want to make that play, when you have a fusion and special Ecclesia, you pretty much just get free advantage from there. Like, this deck plays very well on its opponent's turn, so like, even if you're locked out of your extra deck with something like Punishment or Nadir's Servant or Ecclesia, you're still able to do plays on your opponent's turn with cards like Schism and El Shaddoll Fusion. So yeah, that's just the added benefit of adding DOGMATIKAs to pure Shaddolls. I would say it's strictly, more or less strictly better than pure Shaddolls. The only caveat I have to mention is, I guess drawing like Fleur-de-Lis and Maximus, if you play it, may not necessarily be that good. So like, those are kind of like the pseudo bricks, and there may be times where Mathematician and Ecclesia kind of clog your hand because they're both normal summons. But I mean, other than that, the deck just seems a lot more consistent than pure Shaddolls. However, another caveat of it is the Shaddoll ratios become a little wonky because the spaces in the main deck is a little tight. Is from what I noticed. I was forced to play something like one beast or whatever, and it just felt really weird. So maybe it's just my deck building's not good, but I mean, that could be a problem when you try to cram this in, because the Nadir's Servant and the DOGMATIKA engine actually take up quite a bit of space. Like, I'll say 8 or 9 spaces, so that takes out quite a few of your Shaddoll cards. So you're gonna be drawing like your Shaddoll monsters less often. Like maybe you'll be drawing your fusion spells without like monsters and stuff, which can be a problem. Which leads me on to like the downsides of the deck. It has like the same weaknesses as the pure Shaddoll deck list, in that it pretty much only still has 6 fusion cards to actually start your plays with Shaddolls. But on the plus side with this deck, you're able to use cards like Endear Servant to kind of act as your 9th consistency cards, where Endear Servant can dump Apclone. Apclone can search an L Shaddoll fusion for your opponent's turn. You trigger a Shaddoll on your turn, and then like maybe a Wendy, set something, set your L Shaddoll fusion. So you have like a guaranteed construct on your opponent's turn because of Ecclesia. Ecclesia is a light, which is just really good. So honestly, that's pretty much all I have to really say about this deck. It has like the same downsides of pure Shaddolls, but like it just has a slightly more upsides. If you guys actually want to let me know what the downsides of this build of Dogmatika Shaddolls is over like pure Shaddolls, like I'd actually be curious to know, because in my opinion, I think the Dogmatika Shaddolls should just like most of the time be like strictly better than pure Shaddolls. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the deck. The deck plays pretty well, but like once again, it has pretty much the same weaknesses as the pure Shaddoll deck, but it has quite a bit more advantages in that the consistency and power Nadir Servant and the Dogmatika cards bring you. So like remember, Ecclesia is an extender for free. Even if you don't use her effect, you can use her as link material for Anaconda or whatever, which is just really powerful. So yeah, other than that, there's not much really I have to say here. This is a pretty standard builds of all 3 decks, I would say. Maybe my deck list for each were an optimal, but yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about Dogmatika Shaddolls. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Had a lot of fun making it, playing all these builds of Shaddolls. Let me know what you think the best build of Shaddolls is in the comments below. And yeah, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because it really helps the channel grow and helps keep me motivated to keep posting videos. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you soon.